that historic event at Wiley College, students debating. So public speaking is a part of debate. The African American community, Black people in this country, and in Africa, we have a rhetorical history. We're very oral, it's rhetorical. If you attend church, you see that in the preaching styles in both men and women. We know how to orate. And so with that, this is the original great debate team that the movie was taken from. And these are Wiley students from a few years ago, but they are still in the tradition of debate and being able to speak and present in public. And there are different types of debate. So this is usually Lincoln Douglas debate, the going back and forth individually, but there are other types of public speaking events. So if you do go to college and they do have a debate team, get on the debate team. It's a great skill to have. And if you ever watched Roland, I think his last name is Martin. If you ever watch any of his YouTube videos, that brother knows how to debate. He knows how to get his information, get his research, and has evidence for all of his points. And on top of that, he can argue. You can come up with any counter argument you want. He just knows how to do it. He knows the process, and he knows how to present that. So just different ways that public speaking play out in our communities. You'll see it in different spaces here. So that's just a general on those pictures there. So overview. So we went over the handouts, but we're gonna cover some of these areas specifically and then generally. So speaking and listening, speech preparation, getting started, organizing and outlining, presenting the speech, and then the varieties of public speaking. So the nitty-gritty: topic, purpose, and central idea. Topic, purpose, and central idea. So, audience analysis. Next, researching and supporting your ideas. Creating an outline, delivery and practice. So those are the nitty-gritty things we're going to focus on. But you always want to be a good audience member who listens. And you have to decide, what are you going to talk about? So did anybody watch any of those videos? Unmute yourself, say yes, no. Do you have an idea of what you want this speech to be about, this presentation? I'm hearing silence. So that means you guys have some work to do. So I'm not sure what your guidelines are specifically, but I would say first time out of the gate for the links, I would say if you write this down, your presentation, your persuasive presentation on a topic of substance of your choice should be from 8 to 10 minutes. So now you have your time constraint. It should be at least 8 minutes and no more than 10 minutes. And you can tell when someone has not practiced because they either go way over or it's way too short. All right, so topic and general purpose. So when you start with choosing your topic, and I gave you a places to go to get some ideas, and then the general purpose of the speech. So I can tell you this right off the top. Your general purpose is to persuade. It's to persuade. You're either going to do an informative speech or a persuasive speech, or you are speaking to entertain. You are speaking to persuade. So that is your general purpose. And based on the topic you choose, you pair that with your specific purpose statement. So your goal is to persuade. So if you have your specific purpose, it might be, and I'm just going to use something that we can all relate to, or maybe not, to persuade my audience to petition against our school's plan to reduce the number of campus parking spaces assigned to students. When you go to college, this will be really important. Every place I go, students never have enough places to park. So just considering that. So that is your specific purpose. But now you need to have a central idea. So central idea, our school's plan to reduce student parking spaces is an infringement of student rights. This will cause unnecessary obstacles for students and will result in widespread illegal parking. So that's the central idea. And this is chosen because I thought about the audience. So you need to do, after you decide what you're going to talk about, who is your audience? Is your topic too narrow? Is it too broad? Now, this is a picture of a smiling audience with people of varying ethnicities, and they're smiling at you. But you might choose a topic and everybody's not for your topic. So you might have an hostile audience, or you might have an audience that's, they have to be there, you know, for your teachers, for your professors, you have to be there. So you're an audience. You really don't want to be there. You might be thinking about doing something else, what's for breakfast, what's for lunch, or you're thinking about doing an assignment for another class. So who is your audience? Demographics, age, ethnicity, race. Thinking about demographics, religion, background, what other groups do they belong to? Greek, not Greek, football, baseball, teams, what are their demographics? And then psychographics, what's their disposition? How are they thinking? What are they thinking about when it comes to that topic? And then what is the situation? Our situation right now, as far as the room that we're going to present in, well, it's Zoom, so it's online. It's going to be virtual. So we have to think about that. And then are you going to adapt your speech, your presentation to your audience? So their psychographics is a lot to do, has a lot to do with their attitude. How does that influence maybe the demographics? Or maybe it's the room. How do you account for that thing? If you were to present it live and in person, what is the room like? Will you have time to go check it out? I always call it vet the venue. So I do hope one of these days, sooner, much, much, much sooner than later, we will all be able to engage each other face to face in the same space. And as you think about presenting, if possible, you need to go check out the room. Make sure things work. What's the lighting like? Is it warm, cold? Different things you need to think about when considering your audience. And there are times, if possible, you might have to do a survey to get a feel for your audience or ask around. So like for today, for this audience, Link Hermana gave me the background on international trends and the projects and what you all are doing. And so that gave me a little bit of information, something to find out about you as an audience. And some things I changed because I'm like, oh, they're on Zoom class all the time. I don't think I'm going to do a Google Classroom for you guys. You probably have enough of that already. So thinking about your topic, your ideas, and your audience, now you need to do some research. You need to research to support your main ideas. The claims that you're making, do they need support? And the types of support you might use. Examples, statistics, testimonies. And then are they credible? Are they unbiased? You have to think about that. And then citations. Even though you are not, let's say, doing a paper per se, you are using information and ideas that belong to others. So in a sense, you still need to cite your sources. And then you would do that verbally. And then always have your information balanced. So if you have 3 main points, you want to make sure that you give equal time to each one of your main points. And then you have really good transitions between each one of your main points. I know I'm showing pictures here of this young man in the library, but I love libraries. So that's one of the other things about me. I love libraries. I love touching books. And then I do know you never have to step foot in a library. You can do everything online to get your articles that you need to support your evidence and to look at books. They have virtual books, ebooks that you can use to get your information to support your ideas and to research your topic. And one thing you should know, and don't be afraid of it, just be aware of your time, that once you start researching your topic, you might change your specific purpose and central idea. Those things might change. Your general purpose to persuade will remain the same, but your specific purpose and your central idea, they might change based on the research that you've done. Because as you're going through, you're going to refine your topic because you're going to learn more about that. So outlining. So remember, I talked about Monroe's motivated sequence. So to try to bring this together, you've all done your papers, introduction, body, conclusion. So that's a basic outline. And then maybe you've written a paper that had a problem that you stated, and then there's a solution. So you've done that. But now we're moving to Monroe's motivated sequence, and you might have used this in a paper to bring these together, to make the connection. Organizing and preparing for a speech is similar to writing that essay. The organization structure, the research, citing sources, it's all there. That's part of the preparation for public speaking as well. So the hook, the punch to get the attention of your audience, you need that. You want to grab your audience's attention. So in the video that you watch with, what's her name? Mina Fumbo. No, you cannot touch my hair. Pay attention to how she gets her audience's attention, how she hooks them in. The other one that you should pay attention to is Helene Flowers. I really want you to pay attention to how he comes on, how he starts the introduction, and what he's using to deliver his speech. Makes him a little bit more comfortable. So the hook, attention getter. And then the problem. So what is the problem? So based on the examples that I've given you, the problem is criminal justice reform. Then what is its scope? Who does it affect? Why is it important? So when you're looking at the problem, ask yourself those questions. And then the cause. What causes this problem? Are these internal or external causes? And do your research and look at both sides of the issue. It's important that you look at both sides of the issue because you are going to have to address the blowback or the counter arguments to what you're coming up with. And then solution. How are you going to solve the problem? How do we know your solution works? So you need to talk about that. You need to give examples. Oh, what? That's part of your evidence? Examples. And then maybe in your cause, you give some statistics. Oh, that's more evidence. In your problem, you might use statistics and examples. Attention getter. Maybe you tell a story. It's narrative. I don't know. It depends on your topic, but those are examples. And then the end, the conclusion, after you get your audience's attention, you talk about the problem, what causes it, the solution. There is a call to action. You want your audience to do something. You just don't want to just be informative for the sake of information. You want your audience to do something because we have chosen topics of merit, social justice issues, community specific and important topics. So we need to have a call to action. What do you want your audience to do? And it's more than, maybe it's more than just donate. Maybe you need to have your audience actually go and do something. But in your conclusion, you recap everything you've done, and then there's a specific call to action. You want your audience to do something. So as you're listening to the different examples of speeches, listen for a call to action. Is there a call for audience members to do something? Whether it's maybe to change their mind about how they're thinking about something, an action that they literally have to go and do something. What is the call to action for the particular audience for the particular topic? And so that's that Monroe's motivated sequence. So if you walk through that detailed example outline that I've given you, it's there. And for any of these topics, you can go to Google and YouTube. There are some really good examples that you can use there. You can find one that's supportive. And I'm pretty sure where you are and what you've been learning with the links and international trends and with your teachers being high caliber students, you are pretty good at doing the CRAP test. Just making sure that your information is credible, the resources that you're looking at on YouTube, those are credible, and that they are relevant to what you're talking about. And so you know how to pull all that information together. So delivery, it's really important. Practice language and articulation. You don't want to have too many ums, ahs, you know what I'm saying? You know what it's like. Do not use language that is going to take away from what you're trying to say. You want to make sure that you are pronouncing your words properly, that you are using the words properly. You know what they mean. Don't just throw in big words because, oh, it sounded right, but you're not using that in the right context. So think about your language, think about articulation, think about your audience, making sure that you are using language that's appropriate for your audience. Then practice, practice, practice. What is your body doing? What are your feet doing? What are your hands doing? I talk with my hands. When I'm standing, it's a bit different. So practice, practice, practice. What is your body doing? What are your eyes doing? Are you having eye contact with your audience? Even with Zoom, you still have to make a point to look at the camera. And so we have to do that. And so what is your body doing? What are your hands doing? Are you playing with the pencil? If you're holding note cards, are you just shuffling them? Are you crumpling them up in your hands? Are you holding them, glancing, getting a hint, and then coming back to your audience? I need just a little hint. Come back to your audience. Your note cards or anything like that, they're not made for you to read from directly, but you glance, you glance, you glance, you glance to make sure you don't lose anything if you're working from a manuscript. And then there are times you don't have a manuscript and you don't have cards. It is totally extemporaneous. It all comes out of here. And the more you practice, the better it comes out and it comes across. Practice, 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 practice. Practice. That overcomes your nerves. That overcomes your jitters. Why? Because you know this topic better than your audience should, because you've researched it. You spent time on it. You've been watching yourself deliver it. You're asking yourself questions. You're critiquing your work. You've had your peers critique it. Hey, how does this sound? Is this okay? Did you understand this? Getting that feedback on your presentation is always a great thing to do. And then dress like you mean business. No club gear, no gym shoes, no hats. Be clean cut, professional. That's just the way it is. That is just the way it is. No matter how much we want to not dress up and Zoom and those commercials where people just dress up from the top up. When you're presenting, you are going to record yourself. You are going to stand, and at least your audience should at least see you from the waist up. So that's going to be important that you film yourself in that way. So dress like you mean business. There's business professional, business casual. You want to be taken seriously. When you walk into the room, you haven't said a word, but the members of the audience, they've already judged you based on how you look. That's the truth. That's the way it is. That's the way it always is. And it's just quick and fast. And because human beings like to categorize. I'm in communication studies, and I always say communication is the hard science. Why? Because human beings are walking variables. We change on a dime every minute. That's why you have that saying, you woke up on the wrong side of the bed, or you didn't have your coffee yet. So we try to categorize and we try to generalize, but human beings vary. We vary from day to day, second to second. And so, walking to the room, what do you want? You want respect. That's your credibility on the line, because now she looks like she knows what she's talking about. Looking dapper. He looks like he knows what he's talking about. You want to look like you know what you are talking about. So delivery, practice, 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 practice. Dress like you mean business. Dress like you mean it. Dress like you know what you're talking about. You've researched this thing. This is all you. All right, so just to summarize, speaking and listening, they go together. You need to understand your audience. You need to listen as a speaker, because you're going to watch these videos and get some ideas. So you're listening and you're watching for different clues and ideas on how you are going to present to your audience. Your speech preparation, that whole idea again about just getting ready and being mentally prepared to get you started. Organizing and outlining, you are doing a persuasive presentation, Monroe's motivated sequence, because it has a call to action. Practice, practice, practice. And then this last one, the varieties of public speaking. Not everything's going to be at a podium. It might be something a little bit informal like this, formal but informal, or you're speaking on your job. You have an idea and you want to share that idea with your colleagues, the people you work with. How are you going to get that across? You're going to use those same steps. So public speaking is not always behind a podium. It's not always to a big, large group. It could be to a small group. Public speaking might happen at church. Maybe you have to read announcements. That is one of the best things about Black church that I liked. Sometimes the sermons might put you to sleep, but you had the opportunity to have practice speaking to an audience. And it was the best place because it was an audience that showed care, love, and concern, and they were working with you to be the best that you can be. So when you're outside the church, you know how to handle an audience and you know how to speak in public. And you might be speaking to a group of classmates. You all are going to go to college. You will work in groups. You will work in groups with people that you don't know anything about, but you have to get your ideas across. You have to be able to present your thoughts. What are you doing? Again, you research your stuff, you know about it, you stand your ground when it comes to your ideas. And also with that, being able to take in new information and then recalibrating some of your ideas, because maybe there's new information. Then I might have to change some things. So yeah, that is what I have for you today on this whole thing of